The War Council chamber aboard the dreadnought Vexthar hummed with anticipation. I, Commander Throck of the Kalesian Dominion, stood before the holographic display showing that pathetic blue marble they called Earth. 23 cycles we'd been watching them. 23 cycles of waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Commander, my tactical officer Gren chirped, his 3 eyes blinking in sequence. The humans have just broadcast another one of their so-called warning messages. I couldn't help but let out a rattling laugh. Oh, this was rich. These primitives, with their single planet and their adorable little moon, thought they could intimidate the Kalesian Dominion. We who had conquered 47 star systems. We who had brought entire civilizations to their knees. Play it, I ordered, settling into my command throne. I could use some entertainment before we begin the invasion. The hologram flickered. A human female appeared, her face pale and stern. She had that look they all got when they were trying to appear threatening. You know the one. Narrowed eyes, tight lips, clenched jaw. Adorable, really. This is Director Amara Keyes of Earth's United Defense Coalition, she began, her voice steady but laced with what I could only describe as barely contained fury. You have ignored our diplomatic overtures. You have rejected our offers of peaceful contact. You have positioned your fleet in hostile formation around our solar system. I yawned. Loudly. Several of my bridge crew chuckled. We are giving you one final warning, the human continued, and here's where it got funny. She actually paused for dramatic effect. Retreat now or you will face consequences beyond your comprehension. You have 12 Earth hours to comply. This is your last chance. The transmission ended. Silence filled the bridge for exactly 2 seconds before the entire crew erupted in laughter. Gren was practically wheezing, his breathing tubes whistling with mirth. My weapons officer Krell slapped her console, her scaled hands leaving dents in the metal. Consequences. I managed to gasp between laughs. Consequences. Beyond our comprehension. Oh, that's perfect. That's absolutely perfect. Commander. Gren wiped moisture from his eyes. Should we respond? Oh, absolutely. I composed myself, straightening my uniform. Open a channel. Let's have some fun with these creatures before we reduce their little planet to ash. The complight blinked green. Director Keyes, I began, injecting as much mock sympathy into my voice as possible. I'm afraid we must decline your generous offer to retreat. You see, we've already allocated resources for this invasion. Troops are mobilized. Ships are fueled. Paperwork has been filed. You understand, I'm sure. Bureaucracy and all that. I leaned closer to the camera, my mandibles spreading in what humans might mistake for a smile. But please do tell me about these consequences, beyond my comprehension. I'm genuinely curious. Will you throw your primitive nuclear weapons at us? The ones that can't even breach our basic shielding? Or perhaps you'll launch your quaint little space shuttles, the ones that move at speeds my grandmother could outpace. More laughter from the bridge crew. We'll give you 12 hours, I continued. Not because we're afraid, but because it's amusing. We'll wait right here while you scramble around your little world, panicking and praying to whatever gods you've invented. Then, when your time is up, we'll descend. We'll take what we want, and your species will become a footnote in galactic history. Just another race that overestimated itself. I cut the transmission. That should keep them terrified for their final hours, I said, satisfaction warming my chest. Gren, maintain position. All ships hold formation. Let's let the dread build. Fear makes the conquest so much sweeter. Yes, Commander. The hours ticked by. We monitored their communications, of course. And oh, what panic we observed. Their news networks were in chaos. Their military forces scrambling. Their leaders making desperate speeches about unity and courage. It was almost sad, really. Almost. I watched one particular broadcast from their International Space Station. An astronaut floating in zero gravity, staring at our fleet through a window. The terror in his face was exquisite. 7 hours remaining, Gren announced. Excellent. Begin final preparations. I want landing parties ready. Secure their population centers first. Major cities, government facilities. Then we can take our time with the rest. Commander, my science officer Vic spoke up, her voice uncertain. I'm detecting unusual energy signatures from the planet. Unusual how? Difficult to say. They're coming from multiple locations. Underground facilities. Mostly. The readings are strange, like nothing in our database. I waved a dismissive hand. Probably their failed attempts at building something that might scratch our shields. Let them waste their final hours on futile projects. But Vix's antennae were twitching. That usually meant concern. Commander, respectfully, I think we should— You think we should what? Run away? From humans? You all smonth-fied. I stood up, my patience wearing thin. Vix, we have 500 warships in this fleet, each one capable of obliterating a continent. They have what? Some satellites? Some rockets? Some dreams? I understand, Commander. It's just 3 hours, Gren interrupted. I nodded. All ships, prepare to enter Earth's atmosphere on my mark. The bridge bustled with activity. Weapons systems charging. Shield generators humming. Drop ships loading. This was it. This was what we'd been planning for 23 cycles. The crown jewel of our expansion. A species perfectly positioned for subjugation, not advanced enough to truly resist, but developed enough to be useful as labor. Perfect. Commander, the communications officer called out. We're receiving another transmission from Earth. Same source. Put it through. Let's hear their final plea for mercy. Director Keyes appeared again. But something was different. She wasn't pale anymore. No, her cheeks had color. And her eyes were almost amused. That made me uncomfortable. Commander Throck, she said. And I was annoyed that she remembered my name. I gave you 12 hours. You've used 9 of them to mock us, to laugh at us, to position your forces for our destruction. Your point? I snapped. My point is simple. She smiled. Actually smiled. You've made your choice. You had your chance to leave. You rejected it. So now you get to learn. Learn what, exactly? Why Earth has never been invaded. I laughed. Because no one knew you existed until— No. Her smile widened. Because every species smart enough to reach the stars was also smart enough to recognize the warning signs. To understand what we are. What we've been preparing for since we first looked up at the night sky, and wondered if we were alone. A chill ran through my spines. Ridiculous. She was bluffing. She had to be. Commander Vix's voice was urgent now. Those energy signatures, they're increasing, exponentially. The thing about humans, Commander, Keyes continued, as if she could hear our bridge conversation. We're paranoid. We've been preparing for hostile contact since before we had spaceflight. Every nation, every generation, adding to the arsenal, testing, building, waiting. You're bluffing, I said. But my voice lacked conviction. Am I? Tell me, Commander. In all your research about Earth, did you ever wonder why we developed certain technologies so quickly? Why our military advancements seemed disproportionate to our needs? Primitive paranoia. Strategic preparation. She leaned forward. We saw you coming 23 cycles ago. Oh yes, we knew. We've been tracking your fleet since you entered our detection range. We let you get close. We let you think we were weak. We let you commit. Commander. Gren's voice cracked. The energy signatures. Their weapons. Weapons positioned in orbit, on the moon, on Mars, buried in Earth's crust. Hundreds of them. How did we not? Because you were looking for conventional defenses, Keyes interrupted, somehow tapping into our communications. Oh, that was not good. You scanned for nuclear warheads and missiles. You didn't scan for quantum displacement arrays. You didn't look for dimensional tear generators. You didn't check for things that shouldn't exist. My blood ran cold. But they do exist, she continued. We built them. We tested them. We hid them. And now, Commander Throck of the Calesian Dominion, you're going to be the demonstration that ensures Earth never has this conversation again. Shields up. I roared. All ships emergency jump. Get us out of. Too late. Keyes' smile vanished. Initiating Earth's final transmission protocol. Goodbye, Commander. You have sealed your fate. The screen went dark. For a moment, nothing happened. Then reality itself began to scream. Space around our fleet started bending, warping, twisting in ways that violated every known law of physics. Ships that had been in formation were suddenly scattered across impossible distances. Gren was shouting coordinates that made no mathematical sense. Vix was screaming about dimensional breaches. What's happening? I demanded, gripping my throne as the ship lurched. They're Sade. They're pulling us apart. Vix shrieked, not destroying us, separating every molecule, every atom. A brilliant light erupted from Earth, but it wasn't an explosion. It was something worse, something elegant, something that suggested an understanding of the universe we Caletians had never achieved. The last thing I saw before my reality dissolved was Earth, that beautiful blue marble glowing with the fury of a species that had spent millennia preparing for the moment someone would mistake kindness for weakness. And I realized too late that we hadn't conquered 47 star systems because we were strong. We'd conquered them because none of them were human. When consciousness returned, I wished it hadn't. My body felt wrong. Everything felt wrong. I was suspended in something that wasn't quite air, wasn't quite water, wasn't quite anything my species had ever encountered. Around me, fragments of my ship floated in frozen animation, not destroyed. Preserved, like insects trapped in amber. Commander Throck. That voice. Director Keyes. It echoed from everywhere and nowhere. Welcome back. I hope your brief molecular disassembly wasn't too unpleasant. I tried to speak. My mandibles clicked uselessly. Then suddenly I could breathe again. Could move my limbs. The invisible force holding me adjusted, allowing minimal function. Where am I? My voice came out broken, terrified. I hated that. Hated her for reducing me to this. You're exactly where you were 5 minutes ago, she replied. Approximately 300,000 kilometers from Earth. The difference is that now you exist in a pocket dimension we've created specifically for this conversation. Your fleet is similarly contained. All 500 ships. All 2 million personnel. Perfectly preserved. The horror of it sank in. You didn't destroy us. Destruction is wasteful, Commander. We prefer education. A holographic display materialized before me. It showed my fleet, each ship encased in shimmering energy fields, crews frozen mid-panic. Some vessels were cut in half. Their interiors exposed like anatomical displays. Others were inverted, their hulls turned inside out, while somehow remaining structurally intact. The sheer technological superiority on display was nauseating. Impressive, isn't it? Keyes appeared beside me now, not physically present but projected so realistically I could see individual strands of her hair moving. This is what 50,000 years of aggressive preparation looks like. 50,000. I sputtered. Your species isn't even that old. You've barely had civilization for 10,000 years, oh Commander. She laughed, and it wasn't cruel. It was worse. It was pitying. You really did minimal research, didn't you? Yes, our recorded civilization is about 10,000 years old, but humans have been anatomically modern for 300,000 years. And we've been looking at the stars wondering what else is out there. For all of it, she gestured, and the display changed. Images flashed before me, ancient cave paintings showing figures descending from the sky, stone tablets carved with celestial calculations, structures aligned with impossible precision to stellar phenomena. We've been waiting, she continued. Every generation adding their piece to the puzzle, every culture contributing their knowledge. We fought each other for millennia, true, but you know what we learned from all that fighting, Commander? I said nothing. We learned how to kill, how to survive, how to adapt, how to take any weapon used against us and make it better. We learned that the only thing more dangerous than a human with a weapon is a human with a reason to build one. You're monsters, I whispered. No. Her expression hardened. We're survivors. There's a difference. Monsters destroy for pleasure. We destroy for preservation. You came here planning genocide. We responded with proportional force. Proportional? You've trapped us in a dimension that shouldn't exist. And yet, you're all still alive. Every single one of your crew, compare that to what you planned for us. She paused, letting that sink in. Shall I show you the intelligence we intercepted from your ship? The directives for processing human populations. The quotas for viable labor specimens, the disposal methods for those deemed unsuitable. Shame burned through me. Not because I regretted the plan, because I'd been caught. Keyes must have read my expression. Still don't understand, do you? Let me make this crystal clear. You're not the first. You're not even the 20th. We've been visited by hostile alien species 47 times in the last 2 centuries. My heart stopped. Impossible. Is it? Tell me, Commander. Where is the Vraxian Armada, the one that disappeared near Sol System 2 decades ago? They were recalled for reassignment. No. They're in a quantum storage facility on our moon, perfectly preserved. Occasionally we wake one up for questioning, then return them to stasis. Where are the Keleth Raiders? The ones who vanished after scouting our asteroid belt. I felt sick. Mars, underground research facility. They've been very helpful in advancing our understanding of faster-than-light travel. And the Xipheron Empire? The ones who lost an entire expedition fleet near Jupiter. This is madness. I breathed. This is strategy. She crossed her arms. Every hostile species that's approached Earth has faced the same choice you did. Leave peacefully or become a lesson for the next one. Most chose poorly. The display shifted again. Now it showed a massive facility hidden in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. Inside were thousands of alien vessels, hundreds of species, all preserved, all catalogued. A museum of cosmic hubris. The difference between humans and the civilizations we've encountered, Keyes said quietly, is that we never assumed we were alone. We never assumed we were safe. We never assumed peace was guaranteed, so we prepared for everything. What happens now? I asked, dreading the answer. Now you have a choice. Same choice we offered before you attacked, but with updated information. She snapped her fingers. The pocket dimension dissolved, and suddenly I was back on my bridge. My crew was there, all of them, standing exactly as they'd been before the dimensional tier. But they weren't moving. Frozen in time. They're fine, Keyes assured me. Just paused while we talk. Now here's your choice, Commander Throke. Option 1. We release you. You return to the Calesian Dominion. You tell them what happened here. You warn them that Earth is not to be touched. Ever. And in exchange we'll even provide you with some of our older defensive technology. Quantum shields. Basic dimensional anchors. Things that might actually help you survive out there. And option 2? Option 2. We keep you. Add you to the collection. Your entire fleet becomes another exhibit in our great hall of those who chose wrong. Your species will wonder what happened to you. Maybe they'll send another fleet, maybe they'll learn from it. Maybe they won't. Either way, Earth endures. I stared at her projection. Why? Why offer mercy at all? If you're so powerful, why not just destroy us, and be done with it? For the first time, something like sadness crossed her face. Because, Commander, we remember what it's like to be afraid of the dark. We remember when we were the ones looking up at the stars, wondering if something terrible was coming. We're not trying to build an empire. We're not trying to conquer the galaxy. We just want to be left alone. She moved closer, her holographic form almost touching me. Every species we've captured, we've studied. We've learned your languages, your cultures, your histories. And you know what we've found. Almost all of you were peaceful once. Before you reached the stars, before you met other species, before fear and greed turned you into predators. That's the nature of survival, I said. Maybe. But it doesn't have to be. We're giving you a chance to break that cycle. Go home. Tell your leaders what you found. Tell them Earth is protected not because we're warlike, but because we're prepared. Tell them there's a difference. I looked at my frozen crew. At Gren, his 3 eyes wide with interrupted panic. At Vix, her antenna still twitching from her last warning. At Krail, her scales darkened with fear she'd never admit to. If I choose option 1, I said slowly, how do I know you won't just destroy us anyway? Once we're far enough away, you don't. That's called trust, Commander. It's a very human concept. We're offering it to you despite you giving us no reason to. Consider it a lesson. The weight of the decision crushed me. My pride screamed to refuse, to choose option 2 out of sheer spite. But my survival instinct was stronger, and something else. Something I'd never felt before when facing a conquered species. Respect. These humans weren't just stronger. They were smarter, more patient, more dangerous than any species I'd encountered, and they were offering mercy I didn't deserve. I choose option 1. I said, the words like ash in my mouth. Keyes smiled. Wise choice. We'll begin the release sequence momentarily. Your ships will find themselves back in normal space, roughly 5 light-years from here. Your navigation computers will have coordinates leading away from Sol system. Do not deviate from them. Understood. One more thing. Her expression turned deadly serious. If the Calesian Dominion sends another fleet, we won't offer this choice again. The next visitors will join our collection permanently. And we'll send a message to your homeworld that will make very clear what happens to species that don't learn. Are we clear? Perfectly. Good. She started to fade, then paused. Oh, and Commander, you'll find several data packages in your ship's computer. Technical specifications for some of our defensive technology. Consider it a gift. Maybe it'll help you defend against actual threats instead of creating them." She disappeared. Time resumed. My crew gasped, stumbled. Some fell to the floor. Alarms blared as systems came back online. Ren immediately began shouting status reports. Vix was checking sensor readings with shaking hands. "Commander," Brian called out. "We're moving. Multiple jump corridors opening. We're being pushed out." "Let it happen," I ordered. "Do not resist. Do not fire weapons. Do not even think about fighting back." "But sir," "That's an order." The jump felt different from our usual faster-than-light travel. Smoother, faster, more controlled. In what felt like seconds we emerged in unknown space. Stars I didn't recognize surrounded us. "Location," I demanded. 5.3 light-years from Sol System," Vix reported. Her voice stunned. "Commander, they moved our entire fleet instantaneously across 5 light-years. That's not just advanced technology. That's beyond anything in theoretical physics. Check the computer. There should be data packages." Vix worked her console, then froze. "Commander, there are files here. Massive files. Technology specifications, power generation systems, shield harmonics, weapon defense protocols, and fried, and something else." "What?" "A message. Text only. It says these gifts will help you survive other threats. Use them wisely. And remember, Earth remembers. If you return with hostile intent, these same technologies will be used to ensure you never threaten anyone again. Choose peace, Commander Throck. Choose survival." Signed, Director Amara Keyes and the people of Earth. Silence filled the bridge. Set course for Calesian space. I finally ordered, "Best possible speed." "Yes, Commander." As we jumped away, I took one last look at the sensor data showing where we'd been. Where Earth waited. That small blue planet with its single moon. That world full of creatures who'd spent 50,000 years preparing for us. I would report what happened. I would warn the Dominion, and I would spend the rest of my life knowing I'd survived only because humans chose to let me. Somewhere behind us, Earth continued spinning, continued preparing, continued watching the stars. And the galaxy, I realized, had no idea what sleeping giant lurked in that unremarkable corner of space. But I knew. And I would make sure everyone else knew too, not as a warning about monsters to destroy, but as a warning about protectors to respect. Earth hadn't sealed our fate after all. They'd given us a chance to choose a better one. The end.